kind of reviewed some of the basics of our entry. Okay, now let's talk about some different ways that we can set up the takedown. Okay, the takedown, shooting from outside is going to be very difficult. You can get away with it if you got a really quick shot and the guy against you, you're going against is inexperienced. You can do those outside shots and get away from it, okay? But more than likely, you're going to have to get into some kind of a tie-up position, okay? So we're going to be really close. We're going to be engaging in kind of like a hand fight battle. Okay, when we're in the tie-up, there's three basic things that you want to look for, okay? And that's going to tell you, okay, I have a good dominant position to where I can start to set up my takedown, okay? The three are inside control with our hands, head position, or a 2-on-1. Those are the three kind of factors that are going to play into, okay, am I in a good enough position to start to set up my takedown? Okay, so what does that look like? So if I have John here, so if we're wrestling, we're both in a wrestling stance, right? Okay, if I have my hands inside of John's arms, okay, see, I have the inside battle, okay? That means I'm generally winning the battle there, okay? Aside from the head position, let's just talk about the arm position. If I'm here, realistically, it's going to be very hard for John to stop me from coming inside and shooting the takedown, okay? Because my arms are inside. If we were opposite, if he has the inside control and I want to shoot it on John, his arms are stopping me from coming inside. Right? So the inside control is a very, very important thing. It's usually one of the first things you try to get when you're wrestling and you're doing this hand fighting battle, okay? Is inside control. And that usually is going to be like a bicep control. So I'm wrapping inside of his biceps and my elbows are down tight. Okay, so it's hard for him to swim inside. So inside control, that's what I want. The second thing is now our head battle, okay? If I'm here, if I have inside control, if I can get my head forcing his head to kind of look away from what's going on. Now again, it's the same idea. It's a lot harder for him to stop the takedown. Okay, if I have inside position, but he has the head control, I'm still not in a very good position to start to shoot the takedown. I have to try to get lower than his head first. So as long as John keeps his head in my temple, I am not going to be able to shoot for this takedown, even if I have inside control. Okay, so inside control is important, but head position is actually going to be the most important thing. Okay? But normally, because our arms are already out here, we're going to start with this hand battle, and then our head gets involved. Okay? So those are the two big things that I want you to try to focus on, is getting the inside battle, but even more important is the head positioning. Okay? A lot of times, I'll let the person get the inside control. As long as I know that I have the head position, now I can set up my takedowns a little bit differently. Right? I can use the head, I can use the arm to scoop, and then I can shoot up underneath because I have the head position. All right? Because I have the head position, it's going to be hard for John to follow me. Okay? So that's the idea. So inside control and head position. So the only other factor is going to be what's called a 2-on-1 control. Okay, and that's generally going to be in the forms of sort of this baseball grip, okay, or a Russian tie 2-on-1. These are the two most common forms of a 2-on-1 control. So again, I have two of my arms controlling his one arm. Okay, but again, if I just have the 2-on-1 control, but he has the head position, it's going to be very hard for me to get this takedown. Still, his head is in the way. Okay? Now, flip that. If I have a Russian 2-on-1 control and a head position, man, it's going to be very easy for me to just shut that arm out of the way and start shooting for takedowns. Okay? So, 2-on-1, look for 2-on-1 control, head position, or inside control. If you have two of the three, you're generally in a very good spot to start getting a takedown. Okay? Not guaranteed, but you're starting off in a very good position. And then from there, we'll do a little bit of extra work to set up the takedown. But you have to start with, in my opinion, either getting two of those three types of control. But head position being your most important thing. If you can keep your head in the way of their shot, it's going to be very hard for them to get the takedown. Okay? So I want us to find a partner, and we're just going to do like 1-minute rounds. Or we're just going to hand fight and battle. So I want you to try to get two of those three positions. Okay, we're going to go like 40, 50%. We're not going crazy trying to really battle for it, but I want you to get in there and kind of feel what it's like to battle in that tie-up position. Okay, we're going to be swimming inside. We're going to be circling and moving, trying to gain a better position. Okay, so this is kind of part of that grittiness that wrestling is all about. Okay, so me and John are going to do just like a 15-second version. So we'll slap, bump, and we go. See? I circle. I move my head, you see? Okay? That's all it's going to be. And then from there, we'll learn different types of setups. Once I get the head position, now I can snap his head and shoot it for the takedown, just to give him a little bit more to think about as I shoot in. Okay? Any questions? All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now let's talk about why we condition our body to stay in this wrestling stance the whole time. Right? That's a skill in itself. It's just learning how to develop those lower back muscles and develop your leg muscles that you can stay in this wrestling stance. Okay, when we're doing this whole hand fight battle, as you start to get tired, right? Whoever starts to kind of come up into their out of their stance a lot is going to start being like in the disadvantaged position. Because remember, we always talk about that head battle, right? Head position. Whoever can kind of keep their head lower is going to have that advantaged position. Okay, so if I'm moving around with John, but I'm up here and he's down here, man, it's going to be hard for me to get that head position, right? So as you do this for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you start to get tired. The person that starts to kind of come up out of their stance a little bit, man, they're already starting in a disadvantaged position. So just learning how to be able to stay in this low stance. Okay, and if you're shorter than the person, you're going to have a little bit of an advantaged position. You know what I mean? So assuming all things are equal, same height, same size, the person that's going to start to come out of their stance is generally susceptible to getting taken down. Okay, so that's just why it's so important that when you're doing any of these kind of drills, just focus on learning how to stay in that wrestling stance. Okay, this posture right here, it's not easy to hang out into. Okay, so that's the battle. That's the hand fight battle. Okay, getting the 2-on-1, getting my inside control, bicep tie-ups, and there's a lot of variations there. Okay, one thing you want to try to avoid getting into is what's called an ear-to-ear tie-up. Okay, and that's generally going to be like completely 50-50. Nobody really has an advantage, okay? That looks something like this. Usually it's going to be a collar tie, and a collar tie, and then an arm control, and then work your ear to ear, okay? This is very 50-50. This is usually what creates a stalemate. Okay, so try to avoid that ear to ear tie-up as much as you can. And you can avoid that by starting to circle or maybe pushing the person away and trying to reset the position. Anytime I'm in an ear-to-ear tie-up with somebody and I feel like we're not going to be able to increase our position, I'll usually shut the person away, and try to reset the position from there. Okay? So just a little bit and hand fighting. Okay? Now let's talk about different ways to set up a takedown. Okay? If you remember some of our earlier lessons when we talked about when we move in our wrestling stance, what do we want to avoid doing? We want to avoid taking big, long steps, okay? So if I'm moving around in my wrestling stance and I do stuff like this, okay, there's a split second to where all of my weight is frozen on that foot. If the person has the inside position, it's going to be very easy for them to attack that, okay? So on the flip side, if I can force somebody to make that big aggressive step with one foot or the other, I can create a split second opportunity where their foot is frozen. They can't sprawl on it, okay? So how we basically do that is by circling. Okay, and then using whatever attachment we have on the person and pulling on it. Okay, so a very simple drill. One person's going to be in a square stance. Okay, I'm going to come in with my bicep control, my double bicep control. So he's going to be in a square stance. I'm going to approach the same way, and I'm going to get my 2-on-1 bicep control. Okay, and he's going to attach back to me. Okay, I want some, response or whatever the hell you call it. A little bit of feedback. That's the word for it. Perfectly, right here. So now let's say I want John's right leg. Okay. John's legs are balanced right now. Like at any second, John can pick up his right leg and move it out of the way, right? If I try to shoot for the shot, he can move it out of the way, okay? But now watch what I do. I circle away from the foot and I pull on his arm right there. At that split second, it's going to be very hard for him to pull that leg out of the way once he sees that shot coming, okay? So this is how we start to make the person take those big aggressive steps that they shouldn't take, and that's what creates an easier opportunity to get the takedown. Okay, the person knows they're trying to get the legs. Okay, so they can do whatever they can to keep the legs away from the hands. It's going to be harder for me to take the person down. Okay, so this is just a basic drill in teaching you how to circle and using whatever appendage you have, pulling on it as I circle. Okay, so we're here. I attach. Let's say I want him to step with his left leg. So now I'm going to circle to my left and pull on his left arm. Boom, there it is right there. And again, I can shoot underneath and take the leg, or double leg takedown, whatever takedown you feel is available at that time. But again, the big thing is just forcing them to step with that leg that you want. Okay, it's going to make the takedown a hell of a lot easier. It's going to make them harder to do the defense of the takedown. Okay, so I want us to find a partner, and then regardless of which takedown you want to do, you don't have to do any takedown. You can just practice circling, pulling on the arm, and then making sure that I maintain my stance. Okay, the last thing I want to do is circle the person, and now I'm in this weird cross-legged stance, so I don't have a good balance to start doing a takedown. So that's why we do our shuffles. When we're doing our warm-ups, we shuffle our feet. It teaches us how to keep our legs at a good enough distance to where I'm never feet close together like this. I can't take anybody down like that. Okay, so that's the big thing. So square stance, approach, and then I want us to just practice circling. Go back. Circling, making him step. See how I'm shuffling my feet? I'm never getting to the point where my feet are close together. I'm shuffling this way or shuffling that way and pulling on it. So I'm always maintaining my good wrestling stance. Okay, and then from there, we're gonna build on, okay, once I have the inside position, I shuffle my feet and make the person step. Now what else can I do to kind of give them something to think about or open up the takedown and make it a lot easier, okay? And we'll get to that point. But for now, dummy stance. John's turn. I'm going to be a dummy stance. He's going to come in with his wrestling stance. He's going to attach. I'm going to attach my hip. He's going to pull and make me step. He's going to pull and make me step. He's going to pull and make me step. Okay? It's obviously not going to be as easy when you start doing it live, but we start somewhere. Okay? Any questions? All right, 1, 2, 3. So it gets deeper. It gets deeper into it. Okay? Knowing, like I was telling Joe, like knowing which leg you like to have leading, making sure that whatever way you pull and step, right, making sure that that leg stays leading. Okay? But as you get more experienced in wrestling, you got to learn how to shoot with both legs. Right? If somebody knows, hey, he only shoots with his left leg, man, it's going to be a lot easier for me to defend a takedown. Okay? No different than we talk about guard passing all the time. If I only pass guard to my left, it's going to be harder for the person to stop it. Or it's going to be easier for the person to stop it because they know, okay, I'm just going to build all my defenses around that side, and that's it. Okay, but when the person has to deal with, both sides directional passing, it's going to be harder. Same thing with taking down. If I can go from my left leg lead to my right leg lead and have as good of a shot in either legs, now the person's got to worry about both of their legs, right? Worry about stepping in either direction. Okay, so again, it gets deeper and deeper. We're just kind of scratching the surface. Okay, so now I got the inside control. I got my head position. I make the person step. Okay, they still have their hands in the mix. Right? They still have their hands in the mix. Even though I have inside control, they still might be able to stop me with a takedown, stop the takedown using something, okay? Usually it's going to be a sprawl or something like that. So now I have to use a second layer of a distraction, okay? Getting them to think about something else. And we're going to do 2 different ones today. We're going to do a common head snap and an arm drag. Okay, those are 2 very, very common setups after you force the person to step. Okay, so again, he's got a dummy stance. I come in, I approach. I'm left-handed. I like my left leg lead naturally, okay, but I can do either one. Okay, so I approach. Right? Again, I can check my distance by using my rear hand and touching his chest. I know I'm at a decent enough distance. Okay, so I come in with my collar tie, he reattaches. Okay, now I'm gonna, again, make him step with his right leg. You can make him step with whatever leg you want, but just so that everybody's doing it the same, I'm gonna make him step with his right leg. Boom. Now from here, I want to distract him. So the same side arm, I'm going to club the back of his head. Okay? I'm not trying to drive his head to the floor, but I'm trying to just get this reaction. I put his head down to get his head to pop up. Okay? Now for a split second, he's distracted. He doesn't have a sense of, what he's looking at. He's just trying to get his head back up. Okay? So again, we're here. I approach, I attach, he comes back. I make him step. Now watch, I snap the head. As his head pops back up, I stay low. And now I'm in a good level to start shooting my takedown. Okay, last thing you want to do is snap the person's head down. You go down, and then as it comes out, you come back up with it. Right? That's kind of besides the point, right? I snap his head down and lower my level at the same time. As his head pops back up, I stay low. Now I have the head battle won, and now I have a better chance of getting into the takedown. Okay? It doesn't need to be an aggressive head snap. I'm not trying to snap his head to the floor. Okay? If I do, great. But I'm not going to really get a takedown that way. I'm going to come into a front headlock position. Right? If I snap the person's head so much that their head goes down to the floor and they end up on their knees, then I attack with a front headlock position. Okay? So I'm just trying to get just this kind of reaction. That's it. I just want to snap his head down enough to make him pop his head back up. And if he doesn't pop his head back up, then I take a mental note and I say, okay, next time I snap his head, I'm going to snap it to the ground. Okay? So that's why we need strong necks in wrestling. Okay? Because the second somebody puts pressure on our head, if we get snapped down to the ground, man, you're going to have a hard time wrestling. Okay? So that's why we want to have our head up, strong neck, so that if they do snap our head down, we can kind of bounce back quickly. Okay? So again, we're here, square stance, I approach. I attach, I come. Right? I circle away, snap his head, and then I shoot in whatever takedown that I like. Okay? Again, me being left leg dominant, that exact setup makes sense for me to shoot a single leg takedown. Okay? But doesn't change anything if I'm still here, right? Maybe I make him step with his left leg. Now I snap his head, it comes up, now I shoot my high crotch. Or maybe I shoot a double leg takedown. Okay? So it doesn't matter which leg you make him step, okay, with, as long as you're making him step and then setting up the takedown by doing a head snap. And then the next one we'll do is an arm drag. Same idea, okay? I approach, I attach myself here, okay? I do the same shuffle step, boom. Now watch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop my left arm down to his wrist, and I'm gonna come across to his tricep and drag his arm across. Look, nothing's stopping me from getting this takedown. Boom, and I'm in it. Okay, so what am I doing? I'm here, I'm inside the bicep. Let's rotate a bit. I'm here, right? I shuffle, and now I come down to the wrist, I pass it across to my other arm, and then once it hits center line, I let go of the wrist, I drag the tricep across. Now I got a free arm to start attacking the leg, and his arm is completely out of the way. Boom, I don't even have to drop my knee to the floor. I can just drag myself in, pick up the leg, and attack from there. Okay, arm drags are awesome. It's one of my favorite setups for takedowns because it translates to jiu-jitsu also. Even if I'm on my butt, arm drags are really, really strong positions to create sweeps and taking the back. Okay? So whether I want to snap the head, we're going to do both. Okay, but I want you to do the same type of leg work just to build some skill. Right here, I attach. Okay, the first one, shuffle step, snap the head, shoot in my takedown. Second one, shuffle step, arm drag, get my takedown. Okay? I'm a single leg takedown kind of guy. I love the single leg takedown. It comes from me being left hand dominant, and most people are right leg dominant. So normally they're gonna have their right leg forward. My left leg is forward, so it's already a good position to start shooting single leg takedowns because normally this is what people are used to, right leg to right leg. So it's harder to shoot because that leg is farther back. Right, yeah. So it's going to be hard for me to shoot a single leg takedown on his left leg because it's farther away. But that's why I circle. So me being left leg dominant, it's already so close to that leg, a lot of times I can just get it real quickly. Okay? But here nor there. That's why we're starting square. Dummy partner starting square. So no matter which side, it's going to work out. So again, I'm here, I approach, attach, double bicep. And they call it double bicep ties, but really what you're trying to do is kind of wrap around to the tricep. Okay, so when I grab it, I don't want to grab the bicep because I don't really have any pulling force. Right, so really what I want to do is I want to wrap around to the tricep. Make sense? So now I have something that I can actually pull on. So they call it double bicep tie, but realistically you're actually trying to have like praying mantis arms wrap around to the tricep. Again, big thing, approach, good distance, attach, make him step. I can snap the head with either arm. Boom, as he pops up, I'm staying low and I shoot in. Come back, approach, attach. Make him step, arm drag. And then I shoot in the takedown. Okay, we're not finishing it. We're just learning a couple entries into takedowns and some different ways of setting up. Okay? But if you use these principles, the takedown, the finish is going to be a lot easier because we're off balancing him, we're bringing his defenses away from his legs, and we're getting deep into a takedown. From there, the finish is going to be a lot easier. You know, if we're behind the 8 ball in the takedown, that's where sprawls and stuff like that is going to be a lot easier to defend. Okay, but if we can off balance the person, get them distracted by either snapping their head or arm dragging them, take the defenses away into the takedown really deep, and it's going to be hard for the person to stop. Okay, so square stance, double bicep control, shuffle step, snap the head, shoot, or arm drag and shoot. Okay. Any questions? All right, 1, 2, 3.